All persons having any business before this honourable court now draw nigh and give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Be seated, please.
Admission of lawyers. Belinda Ayoud.
May it please the Court, I move that Belinda Ayoud be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Belinda Ayoud be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ruby San Ayung.
May it please the Court, I move that Ruby San Ayung be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ruby San Ayung be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alexandra Marsden Back.
May it please the Court, I move that my daughter, Alexandra Marsden Back, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Alexandra Marsden Back be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rafaela Margarita Bianchino.
May it please the Court, I move that my daughter, Rafaela Margarita Bianchino, be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Let Rafaela Margarita Bianchino be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Seeing Novia Chan.
May it please the Court, I move that Chien Novia Chan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Shien Navias Chan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lloyd Arthur Chater.
May it please the Court, I move that Lloyd Arthur Chater be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Lloyd Arthur Chater be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Katrina Chen.
May it please the Court, I move that Katrina Chen be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Katrina Chen be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Elijah Quendon Clibben.
May it please the Court, I move that my friend Elijah Quendon Clibben be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Elijah Quendon Clibben be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alexander Dye.
May it please the Court, I move that my dear friend Alexander Dye be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Alexander Dye be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Amelia Maureen Favetti.
May it please the Court, I move that Amelia Maureen Favetti be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Amelia Maureen Favetti be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Dominic Anthony Fresina.
May it please the Court, I move that my son, Dominic Anthony Fresina, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Dominic Anthony Fresina be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ashley Brooke Gilman.
May it please the Court, I move that Ashley Brooke Gilman be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ashley Brooke Gilman be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Maximilian James Grigual.
May it please the Court, I move that my partner, Maximilian James Grigual, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Maximilian James Grigwell be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Thomas Joseph Kershaw.
May it please the Court, I move that Thomas Joseph Kershaw be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Thomas Joseph Kershaw be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Theodore Todd Krillis.
May it please the Court, I move that Theodore Todd Krillis be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Theodore Todd Krillis be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lisa Leanne Levan.
May it please the Court, I move that my friend Lisa Leanne Levan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Lisa Leanne Levan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Shin Lee.
May it please the Court, I move that Shin Lee be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Shin Lee be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sarah Yongyan Liu.
May it please the Court, I move that my friend Sarah Yongyan Liu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sarah Yonglan Liu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Matthew Massoud.
May it please the Court, I move that Matthew Massoud be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Matthew Massoud be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sophie Morstan.
May it please the Court, I move that my daughter Sophie Morstan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sophie Morstan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Asa Debamwan Jessica Omakaro Bello.
May it please the court, I move that my friend, Osadeban Wen, Jessica Omrokaro Bello, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
I say that Jessica Omrokaro Bello be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Matthew Conrad Pope.
May it please the court, I move that Matthew Conrad Pope be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Matthew Conrad Pope be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Arif Sahakian.
May it please the court, I move that my friend Adem Sahakian be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Arif Sahakian be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Kostiantin Shevchenko.
May it please the court, I move that Kostiankin Shevchenko be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Kostiankin Shevchenko be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Linda Xiaoyu Shi.
May it please the court, I move that Linda Xiaoyu Shi be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Linda Xiaoyu Shi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Won Kyung Shim.
May it please the court, I move that Wong Kyung Shin be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Wong Kyung Shim be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Elise Michelle Strawn.
May it please the court, I move that my friend Elise Michelle Strawn be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Elise Michelle Strawn be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tatsuaki Tomiyama.
May it please the court, I move that Tatsuaki Tomiyama be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Tatsuaki Tomiyama be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sakriti Vig.
May it please the court, I move that my friend Sakriti Vig be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Sakriti Vig be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Xu Chang Zhang.
That Xu Shengzhang be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Zachary Paul Zelinsky.
May it please the court, I move that Zachary Paul Zelinsky be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Zachary Paul Zelinsky be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It would be necessary for the purpose of swearing an oath or making an affirmation that all those being admitted today please stand up but remain in your current places. Could all admittees please stand?
Belinda Ayud. Ruby San Ayung. Alexandra Marsden Back. Rafaela Margarita Bianchino. Shiyin Navia Chan. Lloyd Arthur Chater. Katrina Chen. Elijah Quendon Clibben. Alexander Dye. Amelia Maureen Favetti. Dominic Anthony Fresina. Ashley Brooke Gilman, Maximilian James Grigual, Thomas Joseph Kershaw, Theodore Todd Krillis, Lisa Leanne Levan, Shin Lee, Sarah Yongyan Liu, Matthew Masood, Sophie Morstan, Osadabamwan Jessica Omokaro Bello, Matthew Conrad Pope, Arif Sahakian, Kostiantin Shevchenko, Linda Xiaoyu Shi, Won Kyung Shim, Elise Michelle Strawn, Tatsuaki Tomiyama, Sakriti Vig, Xu Chang Zhang, Zachary Paul Zelinsky. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"? I do. Would you please be seated?
Now that the formal part of the proceedings has ended, I'd like to warmly welcome you to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Present with me on the bench today to my right is Justice Ward, who is the Chief Judge of the Equity Division of the Court, and to my left, Justice McCallum, who is a member of the Court of Appeal. Together we constitute the court that has, in the exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you to practice. As we gather here today, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. We recognise the long-standing and enduring customs and traditions of Australia's First Nations and acknowledge with deep regret the role our legal system has had in perpetrating many injustices against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. To all the new lawyers here today, welcome to the legal profession. Today is a day for celebration. You have all worked extremely hard to get here, through caffeine-fuelled nights and obscure problem questions, reading countless wafer-thin pages of textbooks and more cases than you can ever hope to remember. Rest assured, for those of you with a bibliophobia, that is a fear of running out of reading material, as lawyers, that fear will never materialise. You have entered the world of eggshell skulls, encountered the mysterious reasonable person, and have understood that the Constitution consists of so much more than the vibe of the thing. In becoming a lawyer, you have today joined a centuries-old profession with ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing an admissions oath dates back to the 12th century. This court first admitted lawyers to practice in 1824, and by 1830 the names of lawyers were entered onto rolls in this state. You have now become part of this tradition almost 200 years later. Perhaps for some of you, or your family and friends, that's how long it feels like you've been studying. On that note, I'm pleased to welcome those with you here today or watching on live stream. For many of you, perhaps the support of your family and friends has been invaluable. No doubt they have also been on the receiving end of your finely polished skills of argument and persuasion. I do hope you take the time to thank them today. The oath or affirmation you have made today is a serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, or an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity, and your commitment to justice. It is in acknowledgement of this weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities, including the moving of lawyers, swearing of oaths, and even our somewhat unusual choice of fashion. I recall on one occasion some years ago, a young member of the audience asked after the ceremony if we were going to do Santa photos. I was sorry to disappoint her. However, although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. You will be unsurprised to hear that last year we had to adapt quite a bit. COVID-19 meant a rapid shift to increase use of virtual courtroom setups and technology to ensure that access to justice continued in the midst of a pandemic. Things didn't always go smoothly, as those with me on the bench can certainly attest to. There have been real difficulties to grapple with in terms of open justice, effective communication and fairness to participants. And occasionally a lawyer might even get stuck behind a Zoom kitten filter. But for all the challenges we faced, the impetus is greater than ever before for us to prioritise flexibility and accessibility. Better use of technology and increased working from home arrangements have profound implications for how our legal system interacts with many people, including those in rural or remote areas, those with a disability, medical conditions or carers' responsibilities. As the newest members of the profession, you are at the forefront of innovation in the law and have a unique opportunity to see through changes so that justice is done openly and equitably. There are, of course, other changes that deserve attention. When we think of the diversity of the legal profession, we encounter the duality that we have come very far, but that very much still needs to be done. Though women were originally not permitted to practice, since 2018, women have made up more than half of all solicitors with a practising certificate in New South Wales and currently make up 63% of solicitors under the age of 30. Women occupy many of the most senior positions in the law, including, of course, the Chief Justice of Australia. My two colleagues on the bench are very senior members of this court. However, women continue to face challenges of representation, including amongst judges of this court, and, for example, amongst barristers in speaking roles before the High Court. It is heartening to see that the local court of New South Wales has almost achieved gender parity amongst magistrates, but we must not be complacent about these issues. There are other noticeable diversity concerns that we must face head-on. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and people from diverse cultural backgrounds continue to be alarmingly underrepresented in the legal profession, and particularly within the judiciary and the ranks of senior counsel. We must also be alert to barriers to the profession from people from less privileged backgrounds. Law should not be a profession for the wealthy, and the idea that students may be dissuaded from studying law by the cost of a law degree, which this year has again increased, or because of other systemic issues, is troubling. Not just this, but we'll only achieve a truly diverse profession when barriers to advancement are broken down and people from different backgrounds are properly supported in a collegiate and inclusive environment, free from harassment and discrimination. These issues are fundamental to a just and transparent legal system and to the legitimacy of the rule of law. We need diverse representation amongst advocates and judges so that all people who become involved in our justice system can be properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system reflective of our broader community. Despite these challenges, there is real scope for change. There is far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than those who have been around for as long as me. And you only have to look around at your fellow admittees in this courtroom and then at the paintings on the wall to see that this is so. You are in a unique position as new lawyers who are entering the profession at a time when more than ever your words and actions are having an impact for good. You are being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unsustainable working cultures, sexual harassment or bullying within the profession, unfair laws, or systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable. I urge you to continue to speak up for these things. They do matter. You are the future of the profession and will steer the direction that it will take. As a lawyer, you will also need to make difficult ethical decisions at times. With regards to our personal characteristics, the lawyers have been the butt of jokes for centuries. Some would say, of course, there are only a few lawyer jokes, the rest are true stories. But jokes aside, you must use the tools you have developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court, the administration of justice, and other ethical duties you must uphold. Now that you are lawyers, you can get paid to argue instead of just arguing for free. Of course, there is a lot more to it than that. You're an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate for the marginalised. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you're not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum as a series of abstract concepts, but law as it applies to people's lives. For this reason, you must strive to deliver legal services competently and fearlessly with courtesy and integrity. Justice Gageler, before he was a High Court judge, once said, "You must be prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reasons, no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur." That is foundational to the rule of law. For those of you who will practice law, the way you communicate information to others will have profound consequences for access to justice. For a non-lawyer, law is often incomprehensible. One of your roles as a lawyer will be to make law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, and sometimes both. One thing you will regrettably strike throughout your career is legislation which seems carefully crafted with the object of ensuring that no one can understand it. Your task is not just to understand it, but to explain it clearly to those whose rights and interests are affected by it. As lawyers, we must not keep the law locked up as something knowable only to us. A client reading your advice should be empowered to understand your meaning and not mystified or confused. So be clear and concise in your writing and your speaking. Plain English is powerful. Consider, do I really need to say aforementioned or herewith? Must I sprinkle in that Latin phrase? Should I really use double negatives, split infinitives, tautologies and wordy clauses that take up a whole page? I suggest the answer to these questions is plainly no. The best advocates can make their points simply and succinctly. Some of the most experienced lawyers and judges could use that reminder from time to time. Don't pick up their bad habits. I also want to speak about failure. I'd not be surprised if there were quite a few overachievers and perfectionists in the room today. Even so, at various points of your career, you will make mistakes, some minor, some more serious. When you do make mistakes, your commitment to honesty, integrity and the administration of justice means that you take responsibility, correct what you can and learn from those errors. You must fail at times in order to grow. What is important is that you try not to make the same mistake twice. I myself have made many mistakes over the year, far too many to remember. Even as Chief Justice, my decisions have on occasions been successfully appealed to the High Court. When that occurs, I'm obliged to sit there through gritted teeth and remind myself that the High Court really is infallible. But in fact, even at times, dissenting High Court judgments have ultimately proved to be right. Finally, I want to emphasise that your mental health is extremely important. Now, this may sound unexpected at this type of ceremony, but the law is not everything. There may be times when you feel overwhelmed, burnt out or distressed. If you do, you should not be afraid to seek professional help or to take a step back when you need to. Also remember that the law is a collegiate profession, and in times of difficulty, the support of your peers will prove invaluable. I found that throughout my career. Although you might find it hard to believe, I was admitted quite a long time ago. I lost my first case, and I lost many more after that, far more than probably I won. But throughout my 35 years in practice, I could always count on the other barristers in my chambers to share my disappointment at the unfairness of the verdict, the sly tactics of opposing counsel, and most often, I regret to say, the obtuseness of the judge or judges before whom I was appearing. I hasten to add I don't include either of my fellow judges on the bench in that comment. On behalf of all the judges of the Supreme Court, I once again congratulate you on your admission and welcome you to the legal profession. The Court will now adjourn.
All stand.